viral news source.
Viral news source where we bring you the hottest news all of the time. And I just had to go back to the wildest moments of the Young Thug trial and react to it because you know what? What better free entertainment is there than this YSL trial, especially with the guys like YSL, Woody, and the others that are on this video. So let's get it.
Free bug, Michelle.
Aren't you interested in removing the cloud that's hanging over the case right now, Your Honor? If you
Sir, I'd be real careful about what you're pleading at this point in time, what you're stating to the court.
I'm so high right now, y'all. I'm about to go to sleep on y'all now.
I love that guy right there. Listen to that again.
At this point in time, what you're stating to the court.
I'm so high right now, y'all. I'm about to go to sleep on y'all now.
There has been no shortage.
And if you didn't understand what he said, I live in Atlanta and I've been living here for a while, and he is obviously from Atlanta. He said, I am so high right now, I'm about to fall asleep on y'all meaning on y'all a $sign. Okay, but that's the way the Atlanta lingo is. Let's go.
Of incredibly outrageous moments in the criminal trial of rapper Young Thug. So let's do a full breakdown of some of the most wild incidents over the last 18 months. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Hey everybody, this is a Law and Crime legal alert. Google Incognito tracked users' browsing data without their knowledge. Yep, well, Mass Tort Alliance, one of our legal sponsors,
I'm gonna fast forward past
you can start your claim. Sidebar. The last 18 months or so far on the Young Thug trial out of Atlanta /sidebar. It has been quite a ride so far on the Young Thug trial out of Atlanta, Georgia, hasn't it? When you think about the last 18 months or so, we have seen some absolutely wild, unforgettable moments that I'll tell you right now, I don't recall seeing in other trials. I really haven't. And that's not me saying it lightly. I cover trials all the time. Now, this, of course, is the case of rapper Young Thug, whose real name is Jeffrey Lamar Williams. He and his co-defendants, they were indicted on a laundry list of charges, including the main underlying charge.
Yeah, and some of these guys are still left currently and going to trial, like that guy. No, he pled out. Let's go.
Case of rapper Young Thug, whose real name is Jeffrey Lamar Williams. He and his co-defendants, they were indicted on a
he has pled out.
Laundry list of
he's still on trial.
Charges, including the main
he has pled out. This kid right here, he already had a life sentence, and then he pled out, and they dismissed the case that was against him. I think it involved the murder, but he was already doing life, and he's on appeal for a murder right now. And also, he's only like 21 or something. He's early 20s. So sad.
Underlying charge,
he pled out.
Conspiracy to violate the state's
he is still on trial.
Or racketeering law, namely.
And of course, King Slime has bounced like a half of an ounce. He's free. Congratulations, Thugger.
That they agreed to illegally obtain property and money through a pattern of criminal activity in furtherance of a criminal enterprise or gang known as YSL, or Young Slime Life, as alleged by prosecutors. And when we talk about conspiracy, there has to be an agreement to break the law, and there has to be overt acts or steps that are taken in furtherance of that agreement. Now, overt acts, they don't necessarily have to be crimes. They just have to be certain actions that were taken. And the idea here is that Williams and others had an agreement to participate in gang activities, and there were 191 overt acts taken in furtherance of this YSL gang. So no wonder this trial is taking quite some time in order for the prosecution to prove all that. Now, more than 24 other men were charged as well in connection with this case, but that number has dwindled down by the time we got to the start of trial. That was for various reasons. Their cases were severed, they took plea deals, Now, the defense is suggesting that YSL is merely a record label and that there is no gang or criminal enterprise or association here. So we have dedicated
One thing about Young Thug I will say is he didn't say a word until the judge asked him to speak the day that he said that he just wanted to get it over and cop a plea. He went up there, he spit the funky, dope lyrics and was free. So what I will say, that was honorable. I don't know if you're guilty of any of the crimes, but they couldn't prove it. But you did not rattle anybody. You did not include anyone into your mess. And I think you've even financed the attorneys for the other guys in the court. So, you know what? I got to salute you, Young Thug. Good job.
a lot of sidebars to what has been happening in this case. But now we're going to aggregate it all together. This is going to be a full compilation of some of the most wild moments in this trial. And we're going to start from the beginning with what happened in jury selection. Now, let me preface this by saying that as we do this recap, the judge presiding over this case, Judge Earl Glanville, runs a no-nonsense courtroom. You break his rules, you step out of line, he will punish you for it, okay? To give you an example, 2 jurors learned that the hard way. So one prospective juror improperly recorded the jury selection process proceedings on her phone, and Judge Glanville had her arrested.
Why shouldn't I hold you in willful contempt?
Okay, so I'm going to explain what everything that happened that day on the 17th of March.
Okay, but before then, do you recall this court giving you the ad nauseum?
Judge Glanville, she was trying to get some content for social media. Okay, man, I know you didn't like that, but that's what's going on with these young kids and with this trial especially. Everyone is trying to profit off the content. Okay, so let's continue.
Admonitions about acceptable behavior?
About having phones out.
Yes.
At the moment when we came
And
in,
didn't I tell you to turn your phone off?
it was, I'm going to be truthfully and very honest. When it was a lot going on, we had just come from different
Answer my
floors.
question first, and then you can explain it. Do you recall us telling you to turn off your cell phones?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you also recall me going through a litany of different things that would cause us to potentially put the case in jeopardy. Do you remember me saying that to you?
I mean, I couldn't hear. It was so much people. It was so many people talking and so many people doing different things. So
people were talking when I was giving that admonition to
yes.
you, meaning that you didn't hear it? You didn't
Yes.
hear any of the 10 minutes that I went through on the record about the things you couldn't do? Specifically, you couldn't research on Google. You couldn't go ahead and otherwise contact your friends on social media. Do you remember that?
Well, I remember the part when you saying we had to, but I didn't hear the turn off the phone. until the
Remember
middle
me
of the
talking
speech.
about no social media?
Yes.
Do you remember me also pointing to the placards that are on the wall about social media and the things you cannot do?
And I didn't see that until after the fact.
You don't recall me pointing that out to you?
No, sir.
I tell it multiple times for multiple reasons, and you decide you can just do what you wanted to do.
It's
Yeah,
not
she
like
did.
I'm doing what I wanted to do. I just
Well, you pulled out your phone and videotaped our proceedings, and that was in direct violation of this court's order. So I'm going to sentence
Absolutely.
you to 3 days of in jail,
Hey, it could have been worse, but watch this.
and that will otherwise satisfy your contempt.
But it was so much going on. I suffered.
That doesn't excuse your behavior, and it doesn't give you.
I didn't hear every.
Madam, that does not excuse your behavior, and it doesn't provide it's an excuse for behavior.
It's a big deal. It's a big deal recording the
is.
jury selection process because it endangers the defendant's right to a fair and impartial jury. And Judge Glanville explained that a punishment, like a sentence here of 3 days in jail, we do that for a variety of reasons: to deter her and others from doing this, rehabilitation, re-entry into society, retribution. Now, while Judge Glanville sentenced her to 3 days in jail, she was actually released 5 hours later.
There it
And I would
is.
wager to say that she probably learned her lesson throughout all that.
Judge Glanville is kind of a nice guy. I could dig it. But okay, yeah, she got released 5 hours later.
Then we had another prospective juror who apparently didn't return for jury duty during the jury selection process. Now, instead, she apparently went on a trip to the Dominican Republic. Now, that might sound bad on its face, but let's provide a little bit of context here. We'll hear how it played out, because she explains that she didn't see the jury duty notice until late, and then she had this trip. And you will hear Judge Glanville's decision, which was something.
Actually, just receiving the jury summons. I travel a lot. I've always traveled a lot globally for work and other things. But I traveled. I wasn't here Thanksgiving week, the week of the 28th. So, and I don't think I returned until like the 16th. I was in the UK, and because I live with my grandmother, I didn't go because I was exposed to travel. Didn't want to make her sick. So I don't think I actually saw the summons until like the 30th. And
The 30th of December?
Yes. And I also I had these medical appointments. I have 5 weeks of scheduled infusions for the next 5 weeks, starting the 20th upon my return. But they said send the email, and I did the first thing the next morning. I also called aggressively trying to get through. And that voicemail I called, I checked yesterday, it still says if you have an issue, send it with your jury summons, send an email, and you will not be penalized or something. So I sent that. I didn't really know I was in violation until the sheriff showed up.
You know, there are a lot of people that were inconvenienced. I mean, severely inconvenienced. You're not the only person that outlaid money. I examined people yesterday who lost literally hundreds of thousands of dollars trying to be here, and I have to make decisions in regards to that. But I didn't even get a chance to examine you about your circumstance, because you went to, you said, okay, I'm gonna go. What I think I'm gonna do is, in order for you to satisfy your contempt, I'm gonna commute the 20 days and require you to write a 30-page paper on the importance of jury service. Here's the criteria. You'll have to do APA.
You know what? Honestly speaking, Judge Glanville, he's not that bad of a guy. He's actually really likable. I mean, he did give the other attorney 20 days, right? That was like the wildest that I've seen him appear in this case. But like, he's actually kind of a nice guy. He's not trying to like ruin people's lives. And I think he probably would have been good to young Thug too, if the prosecution kept going the way that they're going, right? So anyway, let's continue.
Style, you're gonna have to use at least 10 primary sources, 10 secondary sources.
30-page paper. I told you, I've never seen anything like that. That is a punishment. Yeah. Now, Judge Glanville said she shouldn't have just left. She should have figured out a way to bring this to the court's attention so that they could work it out. Now, I imagine she and anyone else who might be serving on a jury in Judge Glanville's courtroom or other courtrooms might be thinking twice. But I should tell you, it wasn't just jurors getting in trouble. No. How about when someone allegedly smuggled marijuana to one of Young Thug's co-defendants in a pair of shoes?
Now, this was
Or
crazy.
when another co-defendant's mother was arrested for trying to sneak tobacco products and rolling papers in a bag of clothes? Or when another contraband incident ended up halting the jury selection process for an entire day? Here's what Judge Glanville had to say about it at one point.
We've had yet another instance of alleged contraband being introduced to our space. And as a result of that, and a subsequent investigation, one of our inmates unfortunately had to go to Grady Hospital. The other thing I would just invite counsel to talk with their clients about, I know I've mentioned this 3 times now, what is considered to be acceptable behavior. This is the 3rd time that we've had contraband introduced into this in this space. The court's concern is that this may pose issues to them remaining and being present in this space.
And in one of the more memorable moments, one of Williams' co-defendants, Khalif Adams, was allegedly seen on camera walking up to Young Thug and handing him something. Now, prosecutors say that it was a Percocet, which is a brand of oxycodone. And to his credit, Young Thug immediately handed the pill to law enforcement. Adams was taken to a holding area where his attorney alleges that Fulton County deputies searched him, but also tased and assaulted him. Adams ended up going to the hospital.
Wow.
Adams is
I
already,
remember
by the way,
that.
serving a life sentence for murder, charged with conspiracy and attempted murder in this case. But given what happened in court, he was also hit with drug possession and obstruction charges. But it wasn't just jurors held in contempt of court or
hold
defendants.
up. So this guy was already serving a life sentence. How did he even get in the courtroom?
Defendants, Khalif Adams, was allegedly seen on camera. One of Williams' co-defendants, Khalif Adams, was allegedly seen on camera walking up to Young Thug and handing him something. Now, prosecutors say that it was a Percocet, which is a brand of oxycodone. And to his credit, Young Thug immediately handed the pill.
You know what? These guys are bold, outrageous, outlandish. Took a lot of guts, though, because he walked up into the front where Young Thug was at like he was supposed to be there. Whew, almost had me fooled, but they were on that.
Which is a brand of oxycodone. And to his credit, Young Thug immediately handed the pill to law enforcement. Adams was taken to a holding area where his attorney alleges that Fulton County deputies searched him, but also tased and assaulted him. Adams ended up going to the hospital. Adams is already, by the way, serving a life sentence for murder, charged with conspiracy and attempted murder in this case. But given what happened in court, he was also hit with drug possession and obstruction charges. But it wasn't just jurors held in contempt of court or defendants getting in trouble with the court or family members or friends of defendants. No, it was also attorneys. Yes. So defense attorney Anastasios Menendez.
Okay, so I don't remember this kid. I don't know who he is. I do remember, I think he went to jail. This guy, let's see.
Represented defendant Miles Farley. And one day it was reported that Menendez was undergoing a routine check of his bag when he was coming into court, and officers found a bottle of prescription medication and arrested him. As officers closed in on Menendez, he allegedly went to toss his phone to another attorney, but apparently it hit one of the deputies. So he was charged with simple battery on a law enforcement officer and possession of pills not in their original container and disrupting courtroom proceedings. Menendez got his own attorney who said that the battery charge was dropped. Menendez was released from the Fulton County Jail on $5,000 bond. But that wasn't the only time Mr. Menendez had been in trouble with the court. He had been held in contempt another time. Now, the reason not entirely clear, but what we do know is that he was ordered to pay a fine of $250 and buy.
Apparently, this attorney is a Young Thug. This is crazy. This is a zoo of a trial.
All of his colleagues lunch. Very unique punishments put forward by Judge Glanville. So at one point, the judge wanted to know if Mr. Menendez had actually bought lunch.
You were held in contempt, young man. And if you want to revisit that again, we can certainly open it up. But I satisfied your contempt by you paying $250, which you did, and I have a receipt from that of your choosing, which that was done to Miles College. I have that receipt here. And the other thing was to purchase lunch for each of your attorney colleagues, in this case, on Friday, March the 17th, from Jason's Deli. So prong one's been settled. Prong two was you're supposed to buy your colleagues lunch by that date. Mr. Menendez, this was in satisfaction of me not sentencing you to jail for 20 days. So if that's the case, well, then I will revisit the basis for your contempt. But I thought that, and in fact, I'll have Ms. Weaver go ahead and pull that order, pull the part of the record. But I did, in fact, I did not hold you in, I did not go ahead and sentence you to the 20 days. I said that this would satisfy, once you apologized, I said, you can pay, because remember, you were going to do I was going to have you do a report as well, or a written product. I was also going to, but instead of doing that, we settled on the $250 and we settled on your buying lunch.
Judge Glanville likes to make people do book reports, it seems like, because this is the second one that I've heard him hand out for punishment. But you know what? That's better than going to jail, I think. But I guess the other attorney, the one talking, didn't. But okay.
to your colleagues on the 17th of March. So that was my understanding.
My understanding was that I apologized and that I was doing that sort of show that I was serious on the apology. I'll still buy lunch.
And that will satisfy this court's concern, okay?
And it doesn't end there. No, of course, there was recently when Young Thug's lawyer, Brian Steele, got in trouble. He was held in contempt of court. And this was a very, very controversial move and drew the ire from many in the legal community. So Brian Steele had become aware that an apparent private meeting took place between Judge Glanville, prosecutors, and a key witness named Kenneth Copeland. It's called an ex parte meeting. It's in the judge's chambers. Defense counsel was not alerted of this meeting. They were clearly not present for this meeting. And Steele took issue with this because he claimed that his client should have been privy to this, especially since Copeland, who was going to potentially testify about Williams' involvement in the murder of Donovan Thomas, was allegedly threatened by prosecutors and the judge in order to testify, and claimed that he would testify that he was responsible for Thomas's murder, that he wouldn't tell the truth while on the stand. So very important information that allegedly happened behind closed doors. Well, Judge Glanville didn't seem to focus so much on the content of the meeting as much as he was upset about how Brian Steele found out about it. So Brian Steele complains about this meeting, and then let's hear what happens.
And then somehow that email was CC'd to me. That never.
Mr. Steele, can I interrupt you for just a second? I'm kind of disturbed because that's ex parte. All that was an ex parte conversation. How did you find out about any of that?
Well, I'm disturbed too. What I was told was that Mr. Copeland said.
And you haven't answered my question yet.
I'm not going to answer that question.
You're not?
No, I will not answer that question.
Why will you not answer that question?
Woo! Because I want to make sure that what I say is accurate, and I'm not trying to get anybody else.
You know what? So this attorney here, actually, he's got kahunas, man. Like, he stood his ground. And it is disrespectful to the judge. Like, but then if the judge had this ex parte meeting, and from what the attorney's saying, like, that is illegal. Like, you cannot have a meeting with the judge in his chambers without both sides knowing about it. Then I could dig it. I understand it. Let's go.
I'm asking you, how did you get this information?
I'm not telling the court. What I'm saying is based upon information.
Okay, well, listen.
He said he ain't telling the court. That's so disrespectful.
Listen, if you don't tell me how you got this information, then you and I are going to have some problems.
We can have this. I have problems right now. I'm not going to say that. What I'm going to say is this. I was told, and I hope this concerns the court.
It concerns me that you have proprietary information.
Why is it proprietary?
Or information that you should not be having that was ex parte.
Why?
With a party.
Why?
State of Georgia.
How about the witness? How about Mr. Copeland, who supposedly announced he's not testifying and he'll sit for 2 years, and then supposedly this honorable court, or excuse me, let me rephrase that. This court supposedly said, I can hold you until the end of this trial. Ms. Hilton supposedly said, actually, all of the defendants and then all 26 people are disposed of. If that's true, what this is coercion, witness intimidation, ex parte communications that we have a constitutional right to be present for. So I understand that you're upset towards me, but I don't know what I did.
Mr. Steele, I still want to know, how did you come upon this information? Who told you?
What I want to know is, why wasn't I there? Why did
Sir, I'm going to hold you in contempt if you don't tell me who did. Tell me who this information
I don't want to
come
be
from.
held in
Glanville's about to turn on.
contempt.
Well,
I'm not
then-
answering that question. That's attorney-client privilege information.
So the judge called for a 5-minute recess, and when he came back, he still demanded to know how Brian Steele had learned about this private meeting in his chambers and what was said. And this is where it gets complicated, because it seems Steele is saying, you're giving me an impossible choice here, Judge. If I tell you, I violate the ethics rules. And if I don't tell you, I'm going to be held in contempt of court.
You need to please tell me who you got it from. I'm not asking you sum and substance of anything as of yet, okay? But I need you to tell me how you got the information. If you don't tell
Which, I'm not an attorney. Yeah, so he's not asking the contents of the meeting or what they said. He's just asking, who told you, homie? And I can kind of understand that, but I don't know legally if that's even okay. I am not an attorney. I do not practice law, but let's see where this is going.
Tell me how you got the information. I'm going to hold you in contempt.
I understand. I don't want to be held in contempt.
And I don't want to hold you in contempt, but this is so sacrosanct to have a conversation in my chambers parroted to you and others. It is that serious.
Yeah, and that's why I raised it. It is that serious that we should have been there, and it shouldn't have happened.
Sir, that's a whole separate issue, and that's why ex parte conversations are recorded.
Why would it be ex parte? You're
For
acting like
whatever-
it's ex parte under
It's
seal.
ex parte. It's ex parte because that's what the state asked me to do. It's just like when you asked me for an ex parte conversation.
I've never asked this honorable court or any court to meet with me and a witness.
Sir, you're straying off the issue.
I'm not.
The issue is how did you get this information?
I understand the issue. I promise you, I understand it. But what I'm trying to ask you is, if you look at comment 5, this is how I understand the law.
You cannot you can't violate something and then use privilege. Okay?
I'm not violating anything.
Okay, but that's why I'm saying, how did you get information?
But just listen to what I'm trying to tell you. You're threatening me with contempt.
Privilege would occur. The privilege in 1.6 would occur if you were in the right place, right time to begin with. You weren't.
Glanville is about to lose it. Let's go.
Let me tell you, I'm just reading from it. But if I'm reading it wrong, I'm not trying to. It says 1.6 applies not merely to matters communicated in confidence by the client, but also to all information gained in the professional relationship, whatever its source. So you're asking me to break, you're ordering me, maybe. You're asking me, I'm not saying you're ordering me, but to give you information, and you're saying it's not substance, but I'm telling you, I can't do that under the bar rule.
All right. Well, I'm going to hold you in contempt, and you can think about it. 5 o'clock today, we'll see where you are at that stand on that point. Because no, that's not what I understand the rule to be. I've not asked you sum and substance of what was said. I asked you how you got it.
I can't do that.
Yes, you can, because I have an idea how you got it.
Well, your idea.
I have
may
an
be
idea
wrong.
how you got it, but that's improper, sir.
Your idea may be wrong, and you're asking me to.
Oh,
listen, I told you the first time, and I'm not.
You know what? If I ever had to go to court, I would want an attorney like this.
He couldn't reveal his source of the information.
Glanville's about to put a fire on his butt. Let's go.
Glanville said he could, ended up holding Brian Steele in contempt of court. Ordered him to spend 20 days in jail, that's 10 weekends, and actually agreed that he would share a cell with his client, Mr. Williams. But
this guy knows how to package his work to make it look like he is riding for his client. Like, that's a good job, and it worked. Young Thug, a black man who I believe had a part in all or some of these crimes, but it couldn't be proven. And I do think Young Thug has learned his lesson, because he don't want no more smoke. Okay, but you know what? His attorney, they made it happen. Yo, let's continue.
the Georgia Supreme Court stepped in. They paused imposition of the sentence while the appeal of that contempt plays out, so Brian Steele will not be reporting to jail. It is being reported that it seems the judge believes he figured out who relayed that information to Mr. Steele, because the judge seemingly doubled down and ordered a show cause hearing to be held with Mr. Copeland, Copeland's stand-in attorney Kayla Bumpus, as well as prosecutors, everyone that was at the ex parte hearing or that meeting. And again, it seems based on the words and the language that he used that he believes Ms. Bumpus was the one who relayed that information to Mr. Steele. So they all have to show cause why he shouldn't hold one or more of them in contempt for sharing information about the ex parte meeting that's set for June 25th. But the fallout from all this didn't end there. No, another defense attorney, Doug Weinstein, tried to have Glanville removed from the case, and it got tense.
You can't file a motion to recuse for ruling that a trial judge makes, okay? And that's what you're doing in this particular situation. You're saying you don't like what I ruled upon. You're alleging some facts in an affidavit that support that decision. Because if that were the case, then no trial judge would be able to sit through a trial and give adverse rulings.
You're always talking about how the appellate court.
No, because if I grant the certificate, it stops the case, okay?
I don't agree.
And I'm not going to do that.
I don't believe it stops the case.
I'm not going to do that.
And if
You can appeal it at the end of the case. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Hey, I'll live by it.
But aren't you interested in removing the cloud that's hanging over the case right now, Your Honor? If you
Sir, I'd be real careful about what you're pleading at this point in time, what you're stating to the court. I just, as a matter of professional responsibility, remember, we haven't nugged out all of the issues involved in that affidavit. And I would be very careful if I were you.
Now, in case you didn't hear that, Weinstein said to Glanville, the judge, that wasn't he interested in recusing himself to remove the cloud over this case? Wow. And look, it's an interesting question because essentially Glanville is a witness in this case. The argument is he should allow a separate hearing to be held on the contempt issue because he's accused of holding this allegedly improper meeting and intimidating Copeland. That's the allegation. That's the argument. Anyway, moving away from that. This was also not the only interesting back and forth between the judge and Brian Steele. No, when an officer took the stand to talk about stopping Young Thug in a car and allegedly finding a stolen gun in the vehicle, Steele holds the weapon in court in a way that Judge Glanville wasn't too happy about.
Through your work, you find out that this item, from running a computer check, comes up stolen from the serial number. Is that how it works?
Yes.
Okay. And you found the item, though, underneath the passenger seat on the floorboard. Is that right?
I need to teach you about handling weapons. Please point the muzzle always downward, no matter if it's unloaded, okay?
I know it's unloaded, but yes,
You make everybody nervous, okay?
Wow.
Mr. Kern, so you're pointing it at.
You see him? Yeah, he was over there. He's like, whoa.
Seat on the floorboard. Is that right?
I need to teach you about handling weapons. Please point the muzzle always downward.
Oh, let's see that again.
How it works?
Yes.
Check. Comes up stolen from the serial number. Is that how it works?
Yes.
Okay. And
he moved out of the way. He had to move out of the way of that. Like,
from the serial number. Is that how it works?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And you found the item, though, underneath the passenger seat on the floorboard. Is that right?
I need to teach you about handling weapons. Please point the muzzle always downward, no matter if it's unloaded, okay?
I know it's unloaded, but yes,
You make everybody nervous, okay? Including Mr. Kern, so you're pointing it at. All right.
I apologize, Mr. Kern.
Now, I don't want you to think that the judge just had it out for the defense. No, the judge also had issues with the prosecution, too, that made for some very wild moments, like this back and forth with prosecutor Adrian Love. So the issue here concerned Mr. Weinstein, again, talking about him. He's representing Diamante Kendrick, and he wanted to suppress a 2015 police interrogation video of Kendrick because he claimed that the investigators violated his client's rights by asking him more questions after he had asked for a lawyer. We know that, 101. You ask for a lawyer, the questioning stops. Well, the judge watched the police interview outside the presence of the jury, and he was wrestling with the issue when there was this interaction between prosecutor Adrian Love and defense counsel, and even the bailiff had to get involved.
The thing is that, Your Honor, we did not.
You're arguing with me now, Ms. Love. So can we stop at this point in time?
Where it specifically says that a lawyer, a suspect who asks for a lawyer at any time during a custodial interrogation may not be subjected to further questioning, as the court has said, by law enforcement until an attorney has been made available or until the suspect reinitiates the conversation.
Your Honor, at some point,
Your Honor, I'm sorry, I'm talking, and I don't know why I am being interrupted. I will not stop. I was speaking.
Ms. Love.
I'm sorry, I was speaking.
Both y'all keep talking at the same time.
I know, I was speaking, and I expect to be allowed to speak when I'm speaking.
Hey, both of you all need to just take it down a notch.
And so, Your Honor, if I may finish, because I was the one speaking before Mr. Weinstein interrupted.
But you continually engage.
This prosecutor right here, she is quite feisty. And the new judge that came in after Glanville kind of checked her several times really, really good. But yeah, she's got a mouth on her, boy.
In this pattern of behavior, Ms. Love, you don't want to accept my ruling.
Your Honor,
I know you're being an advocate, but at some point, stop.
Look, this is a serious issue, right? When a suspect, a defendant, asked to speak to counsel, the questioning stops. And anything that is gathered after that may not be able to be used in an upcoming trial. Now, during the course of this trial so far, there's been a lot of back and forth between Love and Judge Glanville. And again, makes for these very memorable moments.
Given that we have witnesses on this list like Detective James Thorpe, who is at the Atlanta Police Department every day, and
You told me that yesterday.
No.
And what did I tell you?
Your Honor,
What did I tell you yesterday? I'm not going back through this, Miss Love.
I'm not asking
Monday the 4th. We'll look at a hard list.
That prosecutor must be from Decatur. She probably went to Southwest DeKalb, because it's pretty ratchet the way she conducts herself and the things that come out of her mouth and the way she has been rubbing these judges the wrong way. So much to the point that it was able to set Young Thug free because of her sloppiness, according to the other judge. Let's continue.
For the court's consideration, and is there anything else at this point in time?
Your Honor, did juror number 39?
Yo, would you stay out of my business, Miss Love?
Oh, well.
Stay out of my business.
Judge,
Look,
I'm sorry.
I've been doing this a long time. Yes.
Wow.
I have, yes. And if you really must know, long time. Stay out of my business.
39.
Yo.
That's crazy that he had to tell her that, to stop meddling. Let's listen to that again.
And for the court's consideration, and is there anything else at this point in time?
Your Honor, did juror number 39?
Yo, would you stay out of my business, Miss Love?
Oh, well.
Stay out of my business.
Judge,
Look,
I'm sorry.
I've been doing this a long time. Yes. I have, yes. And if you really must know, she's going to reschedule her appointment to the week of the King holiday. You happy?
Wow.
No, you're not happy. But anyways, that's the explanation you're going to get. I'm on top of it. Okay.
Yeah, something to say the least.
She's kind of a super ratchet. Let's continue.
Now look, when I think back on the past 18 months of this trial, there are so many moments. Like, how about when somebody over Zoom interrupted the proceedings?
Free fuck, mistrial! Free fuck, mistrial!
Or when the judge admonished someone in the courtroom.
What was that? That came on at the beginning of the video. That's super ratchet.
How about when somebody over Zoom interrupted the proceedings?
Free fuck, mistrial! Free fuck, mistrial!
Or when the judge admonished someone in the courtroom in the middle of testimony.
Excuse me, Miss Love. Madam in the black, get rid of your gum. Remove yourself from my courtroom and get rid of your gum. In the earrings, you. Yes, you. Get rid of your gum.
But I'll tell you, some of the most wild, memorable moments have come from witnesses like Adrian Bean, who prosecutors were hoping would tie Williams to criminal activity. But he didn't seem to really want to be there, and he seemed to admit something quite interesting on the stand.
All this going on right here got me up on this stand.
This is my guy right here. Like, he's one of my favorite people on this trial, and I like how he turns up right here, just like a cat from the A would do. Listen to this.
Quite interesting on the stand.
All this going on right here got me up on this stand. Talking about this and that third, all this extra stuff that's going on, Your Honor. Am I on trial, Your Honor?
Sir, you just have to answer the questions, unfortunately, at this point in time, okay? That's all I can tell you.
Am I on trial?
No, sir, you are not on trial. But you have been properly summoned here as a witness and you're subject to examination until I release you.
I never consent to do none of this, sir. I
Okay.
ain't signed nothing. My name ain't on nothing.
Okay.
They come get me. Y'all don't threaten to lock me up. Hey, I
Turn
got
up.
a family too.
You
Yeah.
explained, you just heard
Now,
that you
this cat is so funny. Watch.
explained that you qualified it as the detectives and police. And I asked you the authorities, the police, the prosecutors, I just made it broad, that they forced Jeffrey Williams into it. Did you hear you say that?
Man, can I get a water or something? I'm so high right now, y'all. I'm about to go to sleep on y'all ass. I ain't gonna tell you no lie.
This guy.
Yep. Then let's go back to Kenneth Copeland.
He told the attorney, I'm so high, I'm about to go to sleep on y'all ass. Just like an Atlanta cat.
AKA Little Woody. He had some interesting moments as well.
And Mr. Copeland, good afternoon. Do you want to be here?
Ma'am,
Do you want to be here?
I'm here.
Okay. Well, are you going to let me ask you some questions?
Okay.
How old are you?
Grown.
Okay, what does grown mean?
I'm an adult.
Okay. And when you say you're an adult, what number in years are you?
I plead the fifth.
By the way, what's interesting about doing that is, let alone pleading the fifth to that question, was that the fact that he was granted use immunity in this case, meaning his testimony can't be used against him by state prosecutors, so he can't necessarily invoke that privilege anymore. There is an issue legally if what he says could be used by federal authorities. But look, at the end of the day, he was held in contempt of court for not participating. But remember, the prosecution needs to tie Williams to the 2015 shooting death of Donovan Thomas, aka Big Nut, an alleged rival gang member. Shannon Stillwell and DeMonte Kendrick, two of Williams' co-defendants, they have been charged in connection with the shooting, and Williams himself is accused of renting.
I just never understood all the face tattooing. Like, I guess it gives you a harder, like, street thug look. I don't know, but they all got him, it looks like.
In the car that was used in that alleged drive-by shooting. Now, the prosecution needed Copeland to confirm that he knew these men allegedly involved in the Thomas hit, but even that was difficult.
Tell me if you recognize individual in Stacy's Exhibit 350 Yankee.
I recognize myself.
Okay. Do you recognize anybody else in 350 Yankee?
Myself.
Do you recognize anyone else in 350 Yankee?
Their face is covered up.
Okay. Do you see someone's face who's not covered up in 350 Yankee?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you recognize who that person is?
Woody.
I can hardly tell.
Okay. That's Shannon Jackson. Your Honor, at this point in time, I'm turning to impeachment. Do you know someone by the name of Demekion Garlington?
Street name.
Little D.
For sure.
He said, you did not hear him wrong. He said, Screet name, spelled Screet.
How do you know Little D?
I didn't birth him.
I'm sorry, say that again.
I almost birthed him.
You almost birthed him?
Yeah.
Tell the jury, what do you mean by that?
I mean, he my son.
Okay. And let me ask you this. Do you know another person who's referenced as Little D?
What you mean?
Do you know someone who's called Little D from Cleveland?
Oh, I heard of him.
You heard of him. Okay, we'll talk about him in a moment.
You said what now?
Tell me who you recognize in 380 Yankee.
Oh, me and Coco.
Who's Coco?
The ugly boy right here.
Okay.
Let me give you a little back.
Woody has jokes. Like, what did he say? This ugly boy right here.
In 380 Yankee.
Oh, me and Coco.
Who's Coco?
The ugly boy right here.
Okay.
Let me give you a little background to this as well. So Copeland.
Woody, you got jokes, man. One day, Woody, you will be on the viral news source. because, my friend, you are viral. Thank you for all the free entertainment.
He was seen speaking with police in an interrogation tape that leaked online. He was supposed to be the star witness, or a star witness, for the prosecution because he had previously told investigators that Williams was connected to criminal activity. But Copeland said he just said what he had to say to get out of trouble. And as he explains this, he even gets, of all people, the court reporter involved.
Did Thug ever speak with you about his relationship with Nut?
No.
Did you ever observe Thug and Nut together?
I never saw those two together. I never been around those two together. No, it never crossed my mind.
So how were you able to tell Detective Gaither that Nut and Thug was cool?
Because they're questioning me and I'm trying to get them off of me. And she asked me questions about Nut and Thug, I guess. And I'm telling her whatever she asked me. Let's say she asked me a question about the sky. I'm gonna say, yeah, I seen the sky. It's blue. Whatever she asked me, I'm gonna agree to that. I'm gonna say whatever she asked me. If she asked me about this reporter right here, I'm gonna say, yep, she's sitting outside me with white tennis shoes on. I'm gonna say something. Just because I want her to believe I'm telling her the truth. That I want her to get me out of jail.
What, she has on white tennis shoes, don't she?
Don't you got on white tennis shoes? She got on Chucks.
Right, and they white, right?
What color your shoes is? She got on Chucks.
So you telling the truth?
What color your shoes is? She said they white.
Right, so you're telling the truth then.
Well, it depends.
Also, I got to call this out. Do you remember?
What he is, he's honest in some situations. Like he's telling you, yeah, I will say anything to get out of a situation. Yeah, so, okay, Woody, that was good.
Remember when I said that Kenneth Copeland was in that ex parte meeting with the judge and prosecutors being represented by Kayla Bumpus at the time? She was standing in for his regular attorney who had gone out of town. Well, as I said, the allegation has surfaced, and based on Judge Glanville's statements in court, it seems to suggest that Bumpus may have been the one who told Brian Steele, Williams' attorney, about the ex parte meeting and caused this whole mess. Now, she and Copeland, as I said, will have to appear at a show cause hearing in a couple of weeks to determine if they should be held in contempt. But after all of this chaos surrounding the ex parte meeting, Copeland decided he didn't want her to represent him anymore.
Sir, Mr. Copeland, is it your desire to release your counsel at this point in time?
She fired.
She's fired? Okay.
And according to Ms. Bumpus, she had already been fired. Even
She's fired? Okay.
And according to
She fired.
She's fired? Okay.
And according to Ms. Bumpus, she had already been fired even before Copeland had testified. But there was another witness I want to talk about. And this witness is identified as A.B. She apparently didn't come to court at first, defying a subpoena that she says she never received. This witness was allegedly the victim of an armed robbery in 2013, reportedly involving Williams, which seems to not be part of the indictment. But Prosecutor Love told Judge Glanville that she had spoken with the witness several times about the court needing to hear her testimony and said that the witness indicated she did not want to come to court. So she ended up telling Love that she was in the hospital, couldn't come in, but the DA's office says officers found her at home and actually arrested her on a material witness warrant.
I don't
But
remember
the
her.
prosecution then expected her to be particularly cooperative once she was on the witness stand or to give some bombshell incriminating testimony. They were wrong.
Do you recall telling the police that you turned your back on them to walk into the kitchen to make your baby a bottle?
No.
Do you recall telling the police that when you went to the kitchen, Thug's brother put a silver 9mm to the back of your head?
No. And my baby didn't even drink bottles. My baby was breastfed. So no.
Did you tell the police that the two suspects, that Thug, his brother, and DK demanded money from you and your gun?
No.
Now here's where it gets even more interesting, because AB was cross-examined by Keith Adams, another member of Williams' defense team. And one of the areas of focus was that she was allegedly hit on by an investigator in this case.
Mr. Hamilton had contacted you prior to yesterday. Is that right?
Yes.
Mr. Hamilton had harassed you. Is that correct?
Yes.
In fact, you told us when you were back there that you didn't want to come out and see him because he had sexually harassed you. True?
Yes.
He wanted to meet you, supposedly to talk about the case.
Yes.
But now, how about the next one? That same night, Wednesday, February 7th, 6:45 p.m.
Yeah,
where
I
he
don't know
says,
her.
hit me up if you're bored later. We're not going to talk shop. Remember that text message?
Yes.
Did you talk to him later on?
Yes.
Did y'all talk shop?
Yes.
What do you want to talk about?
Going out.
Going out? Going out as in walking out the door or going out on a date?
A date.
And this is February 7th of 2024, this year, when the investigator for the DA's office is supposed to be talking to you about a case, but in fact is calling you, talking to you about going out on a date. Is that true?
Yes.
Wow.
Yikes.
That's crazy. Hold up.
For the DA's office is supposed to be talking to you about.
Hold up.
And this is February 7th of 2024, this year, when the investigator for the DA's office is supposed to be talking to you about a case, but
This case is super ratchet. So the district attorney investigator, or however that's titled, was trying to holler at a person who is a witness in this case on a romantic level. What's wrong with you, boy? Good God.
in fact is calling you, talking to you about going out on a date. Is that true?
Yes.
Yikes.
Doug is like, this is so silly. Like this would be a great movie to reenact, but I don't know how they can do it. I don't know, because I mean we're seeing this like a real life movie. It's what it looks like. Like it's like a reality TV, but a movie that's continuing forever. I don't know. But let's continue.
This case, am I right? Now I'm going to end it here with the testimony of Trontavious Stevens, the apparent co-founder of.
And this guy right here needs to do something with his hair. He needs to cut it and he needs to dye it. Or maybe he just doesn't care anymore.
YSL, former co-defendant in this case who took a plea deal. And as we've seen during the course of this trial, you wonder how credible a lot of these witnesses are, whether or not they're not so forthcoming with information. And one of the most memorable moments was him struggling with the understanding of the word snitch. And at one point, prosecutor Adrian Love brought up the idea of snitching. And Stevens didn't really seem to know what she was talking about.
What does snitching mean to you?
It doesn't mean anything to me, but I'm aware of the term.
How are you aware of the term?
I've heard the term.
How do you understand the term to be?
Maybe that you're aware of it, but it doesn't mean anything to you because you are on the stand right now, and I can't verify this unless I've watched a lot more of you, but it appears to be that you are either snitching or you are about to snitch, because if you weren't, 9 times out of 10, you wouldn't be on the stand. Let us continue.
I'm not aware of the term to be used.
Come on, man. Just answer.
indicating that a person is a law enforcement or something.
What does that mean?
Indicating that a person is law enforcement or some nature.
So are you able to use snitching in a sentence?
Yes.
Please use it the way you understand it to be properly used in a sentence.
I heard someone is a snitch.
Oh, so you do know what snitching is. You understand the implications of someone being a snitch, or AKA a rat.
And please
Like you, right?
explain how in that sentence, snitch refers to law enforcement.
I can't.
Why did you use it that way?
I mean, I've seen movies, and that's the direction that the movie.
Someone needs to snitch on you for coming into this courtroom with that inappropriate hairstyle, because that hairstyle does not know what it is doing at this moment in time.
What's going on? Maybe even used the term. Maybe even got it from like movies. Yeah.
And the way you understand the term, is it a good thing or a bad thing to be known as a snitch?
Really?
I really don't fully understand the term.
Now, as I was going through all this and compiling this script, there's a lot more. Okay, but we didn't want this episode to be like 9 hours long, which, by the way, very well could have been. But I'll tell you what, we are not even close to this trial being done, and I am sure the moments will keep on coming. So for right now, that's all we have for you right now here on Sidebar. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Jesse Weber. Speak to you next time.
And I like Sidebar, Law and Crime. I watch them a lot. I like to react to their videos. But yeah, this trial has been so entertaining that I'm going to keep it coming. I'm going to chop this video up, put it out there, and I want you guys to like, comment, share, subscribe. And hey, thank you for watching the Viral News Source, where we bring you the hottest viral news all of the time.
Viral News Source.